was different because it was this NASCAR facility that's for sale that's not under, because they're kind of an independent facility. They're trying to come back into NASCAR this year. And so it was like a perfect storm of insurance issues, but it was also a perfect storm of being able to run the track in the best. That was the best the facility's been in probably 40 years because they just had the ARCA race there and the truck race and the Busch Xfinity stuff. So
Green flag.
Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
This episode is brought to you by Deechworks Fuel Systems. Visit deechworks.com to fuel your passion. On this episode, we're going to talk about the 2025 Player Haters Track Event and maybe get into challenges of private track events in general. Talk about the future. My guest, I think his childhood passion for Hot Wheels has really turned into a retirement plan now. He's a true Honda head, like OG style, and the ringmaster of the Player Haters Track Event, Andrew Meek. Welcome to the podcast, man.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, anytime. This event, of course, I ended up, missed driving it, right? Because, it was my luck. I paid as early as I found out about the event, and then I was like, something's going to happen to me. And it did. But I did go down. I visited. I saw the guys running. I participated in all of the warm-up stuff that we were doing. Like the guys were, let's get on iRacing and, practice and all this stuff. So I did it with them and had a good time. It was a great event. But before we get directly into the event, let's hear about your racing and your car background.
Well, I started autocrossing in high school. My father was the BMW CCA chief instructor in New York, and also did PCA and Ferrari Club. And they had autocrosses, so I started doing that. And then when I went to Clemson, they had an autocross group as well. And then once I did my first track event when VIR first opened up in 2000, I started doing my first 10 track events were at VIR in 2000 with the BMW club and a bunch of other clubs. My parents were living in Raleigh at the time. And so I got really into it, and then got into NASA Mid-Atlantic. Chris Cabetto had started up. They were running CMP and Summit Point and VIR at the time. And then worked my way up through the HBD program with NASA, and did time trials for the last 15 years and been racing the last 10 years, Honda Challenge. Off and on, I have 6 cars that I track, Hondas and Acuras. So each event I'm in a different car. I might be racing, I might be doing time trials or just doing HPD. It kind of keeps me in it, because if I have just one car and it's down, then I'm kind of in the situation where you were, where I'm just going and spectating. And I do enjoy driving different generation cars because they handle different. So a torsion front end, solid rear axle car, like a first gen CRX or a first gen Integra, handles totally different than a third gen Integra. Or if you get into like the McPherson stuff, newer stuff handles totally different than the old stuff. So that's pretty much my background right now is doing that. I also do Redline Time Attack when they had that before Global Time Attack. I've done that. And then I've done Lemons and Chump Car. The only one I haven't done is AER and Lucky Dog. Haven't done those yet.
Okay. How many caged cars do you have?
5.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. You're seriously collecting them all. Your Hot Wheels thing is actually a real life thing.
Well, the funny thing is it's actually opposite. I got into cars just because I was around it with my father. And then he collects Hot Wheels and collected like really nice, $50 models and up back in the 80s when he'd be traveling for business. Mm-hmm. So he was into Solitos and like really nice 80s and 90s Porsches and BMW models. And so we got into Hot Wheels, and now I'm into Hot Wheels the last 10 years because they make Integras and Civics and stuff like that I'm into.
Right. I remember I had chicken pox, and maybe you'll know. This is totally off topic. It's fine. It's a podcast, right? When do you stay on topic? But my uncle or my parents, I had chicken pox. I was staying with my grandparents, and they bought me a model to put together, but it was all metal. Every part, the body was metal, chassis, all the pieces were metal, and it was wild. I still haven't found anything like it, but anyway, yeah, I dig models too. I've got a couple behind my shoulder over here and play with all sorts of toys. So.
That's probably why I do have a lot of cars, though, because I do like Hot Wheels for that reason, because a lot of them I'll never own. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. None of your cars are an NSX, right?
No, I don't own an NSX or an S2000. I don't particularly like the way they handle at the limit.
Right. But NSX right now is just impossible to afford, right? So
I had a couple.
Get yourself a Hot
Wheels. Yeah, I had a couple opportunities. I could have gotten a 91 for like 20 grand about 12 years ago, but.
Okay, I'm staying off topic because I lived maybe 3 miles from Woodbridge Auto Auctions up here in Prince William County for a while. And I went by on a Thursday because we got off work early, and they were setting up for the afternoon auction. And there was a red on red 91 NSX. And I was like, oh, I should bid on that. I was broke. I was right out of college, right? It went for $3 grand. The inside was mint, and I guess somebody like cheated on somebody, and they had carved up the paint. But outside of the carved up paint, it was pretty sweet car.
Yeah.
And it went for $3 grand in like 2002.
When you get in them, it reminds you of Acura Legend, because the motor's basically the same. It's just behind you, and the smell and the doors and stuff. So whenever I get in one, it's funny. It's like you're getting a Vigor or a Legend.
Yes, I mean the Dodge Viper reminds you of getting in a minivan, and the NSX reminds you of getting into an Acura Legend.
That's exactly right.
They were all pulling this.
That's right.
Back in the day. So let's talk about the Player Haters event. What was your motivation to get it off the ground, and what was the event? What did the event come to be for you?
It was a combination of a couple things. Something I left out in the intro was I was really involved in the Integra Type R Expo when it first started. I was in college during the first one in California, and then the second one was at Gingerman. And because of my swimming commitments, I couldn't go to the Gingerman one. So it made it my goal in 2003 to go to the Integra Type R Expo, and I basically didn't miss one. I maybe missed one or two for like 15 years, almost 20 years of going. Mm-hmm. So I made a lot of friends, got to go to a lot of new tracks, got to like experience a lot of new towns and foods and stuff through the ITR Expo. So I had a lot of passion for it. And since it's been missing, they changed it to the Type R Expo instead of Integra Type R Expo. And then the last couple of years since COVID, we really haven't had anything lift off the ground. So not having that track experience where it's more about the community than it is about time or competition or people having different schedules. A lot of times when you do an SCCA, a NASA event, people are doing different things. They may be in school, they may be instructing, they may be racing. So the only time you get to see them is during the downtime, where a community event, you're pretty much with all your friends or your homies the whole time. So you have a lot more interaction with the people that are driving on track. So I've kind of missed that. In 2018 at Dominion, we had the banquet, and about 5 tables were chanting every time somebody would get up there and win something, would chant hate, hate, hate. And so, and then also like kind of hitting the table. And so it was like really funny to me how everybody kind of came together and rallied around the player haters stuff. And Nick Tomlinson, Johnny Tran from the Honda Tech boards had made Player Haters Ball 2018 stuff, stickers and other stuff for people's cars at Dominion. So that kind of put it in my head, if we can get those people that are at those 5 tables together and have that kind of likeness and want to have something funny, but then also be serious out on track, working on their own skills or working on their cars. I thought that'd be a fun event. And then trying to find a track not a lot of people have been to. So Rockingham has probably been on a lot of people's lists, but haven't been able to get there. And so that just seemed like a no-brainer if we were able to rent the facility.
Yeah, the community was great. So you guys had some of the old school heads like yourself, and Helms brought his new cars out, and there was a good mix. The S-Tech guys came up from Florida. The Mid-Atlantic guys, we were coming no matter what. It was too close and too much of a good time, and I think half of our guys are closet circle track racers in waiting, so they love banking, they love doing weird stuff. So we were definitely going to be there. But it was a good group that was there. And I think that's a big thing with these. Are they called private track events now, or independent track events?
Yeah, I don't have a business license, so it was just basically on my behalf of just renting the insurance and then renting the track and then collecting the money from you guys just to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the most important. We get a lot of grief for the amount of pressure we put on ourselves when we go racing, right? You show up to the track, it's like, what do we get? Practice, qualifying, race, and then Sunday we get a race and a race,
Yeah.
There's not a lot of opportunity. So we're always trying to maximize it. And we get pretty serious at times, and sometimes it takes us in the evenings, on the downtimes, we're still perseverating on the issues of the day, right? What are we going to do for tomorrow? We got to maximize it. We paid X number of dollars and we're here to compete, and I'm not competitive, right? The environment at the Player Haters event I wasn't driving, but it was perfect to me. Like, people were like, oh, I came in early. People were like, oh, I'm going to go out late. Oh, I'm going to skip this session and do something else. Oh, this session, I'm hungry. I'll just eat and go out the next session. And people were being helpful, right? Some people were really uptight about time. Some people didn't care about time. Some people's cars were broken, so people were helping each other. I can't tell you how many people were walking up and down the garages looking for parts for something. And everybody was, spreading to the they would stop, they could be 5 minutes late, right?
Yeah.
We can never be late to grid, but at this event, you can be late to grid. It's okay. Like, if you take the couple of minutes to help somebody, they're going to get back out there. And you really what'd you do? Lose a lap and a half or so? There's going to be plenty of time for more laps, right? So that environment was great. And I just want to commend you for it. What were some of the things you guys had going on for that event at Rockingham?
You mean in terms of trying to keep that kind of vibe?
Yeah, just the vibe, the folks that were supporting you, because I didn't realize you were going to get people like companies to support you. So who was supporting you?
Yeah, I have a lot of sponsors that help. Like Jeremy Lucas at Honda, stepped up. They were originally going to bring a car down. I was trying to get them to bring the SEMA booth down and put the SEMA booth with the new Integra in the garage. Unfortunately, they had the chump car race at VIR, or maybe it was AER. One of the endurance series was at VIR while we were at Rockingham, and then they also had spent a lot of time out in California, and then also Vegas with all that stuff. So it just didn't fit into their schedule. I was really hoping that HRC was going to be able to bring not just one car, but a couple cars. So hopefully at a future event, they'll be able to bring that. But then Exetti has always helped Honda Works and myself and Kevin. So anytime I ask them for anything, they'll just, offer up. I'm surprised they didn't give us a clutch or something, but and then S Tech has been great. They want to try to help out with the next event. Um, Brian Davis with his group also helped out WPR Racing. So everybody really just kind of came together. Even just little sponsors that I see at VIR during Hyperfest threw me some hats and stuff to give out. That way, everybody felt like they were getting something at the raffle. So that was good. That's all little stuff from all the events I've been to. I just kind of tried to encompass the things that work. So I've done well over 400 track events in my day. So I kind of know what works and what doesn't work. And the raffle stuff kind of brings everybody together. I know I get excited when I have a raffle ticket. It doesn't really matter what it is, and everybody always likes getting free stuff and being around their friends and eating and drinking and have a good time. So I knew that was going to be a hit. And then again, having HRC set up, it kind of adds some legitimacy to what I was trying to do. And again, if they had brought like a car to test, that would have been really sweet. So hopefully we can do something like that in the future. The workers, Bob Lewis and Dan and Parker and Randall, all are professional flaggers and could do it for a living. So they made it feel more professional than it was just because we had communication and they were on top of it. They were keeping all of us really safe out there. And, they say more the merrier, but with that situation, having only 4 workers and then myself running grid just made it so much simpler because if there was something getting called out, I could handle it right away and then move on. So as far as the participants, you guys made it really easy because there wasn't a lot of on-track issues. We only had like one car lay fluids down and he got in and offline, so we didn't have to address it on track. We had 2 cars break down on track, but we were able to flat tow them in and only cost us a couple minutes of track time for the next session. So, the participants, the workers, the sponsors all, helped it make it really good. The track, once we were able to get the insurance squared away, was very helpful and let us kind of do whatever we wanted. Kind of felt like we broke in and took over the place, for a while there. So, but yeah, it was, the vibe was just, I wanted to have something that was more like Type R Expo that we've missed. And the goal was to kind of have an event to make people kind of feel that way and maybe push the ITR Expo or Type R Expo people to have an event here at the end of the year or maybe next year. So hopefully that spurs that conversation. And actually, since putting on the event, they have made some posts saying that they're going to be a Type R event sometime here in the near future. So
that's good. Way to motivate those guys, because it would be nice to have the Type R Expo back. So.
Well, it's tough from their point of view because they have a committee. And so I know when you have 5 people or more and you're delegating work and you've got other things going on like family and work, real work, it becomes challenging to try to get it together. And then, the cost that's involved and the number of people that you need to get to go to some of these larger tracks, you need to get 120 people just to pay for the rental. So it is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you started off with just posting on like the Honda Challenge, one of the Honda Challenge groups, I think, on Facebook, and then created the Player Haters event page and some other stuff. And I mean, you were right. You did it on you, like no business, no nothing, because it was like, send me the check, make it out to me, and I think for a little bit, some people were like, really? Am I going to just mail a check to this guy for no good reason? And I'm like, he's fine.
Right.
Just do it. And enough of us, like, we scumbagged everybody. We were like, you want to come to this? They were like, yeah, but do you know him? And I was like, he's been around. It's fine. Just send it to him, So I think the hardest thing was to start that ball rolling to get the people to come in, But you did a great job. So
Yeah, I was a little worried
Um,
at first because of that. I didn't really know how to approach it. Um, just figured reaching out to the racers first and people that knew me, and then what I did is looked at group of people and groups, kind of like car groups that I'd like to have, like S Tech come, and a group of people in Lynchburg that I wanted to have there, and just put everybody together in an atmosphere where we're all doing the same thing, and then it kind of feeds each other, and I think everybody kind of felt that.
mhm,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the promos said it was a track event and food truck gathering.
yeah.
So
That was one of the things. If we get to what the things that didn't work, was the food truck gathering part. They kind of dropped the ball on that. We were supposed to have 5 food trucks. We had 2. We did have a coffee truck, and we were supposed to have like an ice cream truck that never showed. So I wasn't happy about that. But everybody was in such a good mood and didn't seem to really bother anybody. But yeah, I was a little perturbed by that. So,
yeah, I mean, our guys were even feeding the taco truck people.
right.
So
Well, and then
we were cooking food and feeding them. So,
Well, and to answer a question, in the future, what we're going to do is I want to do like a circus tent and then have all the people that are grilling meet under the circus tent and then just kind of have like a meats gathering where, the Mid Atlantic have the carne asada, the Type R Expo guys got sausages and burgers, and then, Kevin's cooking his stuff. So I
okay.
think I probably ate off of like 17 grills at the Player Haters. So we have plenty of food that we could all, feed each other and not have to have food trucks at the next event. So
Yeah, for sure. Um, okay. Let let's talk a little bit more about 2025 before we get to the next event, because I've been I still kick myself every time I look at the pictures of everyone hanging out in the garages, sharing space, but having your own space. I've never personally gotten a garage, when I go to an event, and I was really looking forward to this one. I think that really helped the sense of community, right? Like, we had Grandpa Chad there telling stories on one bay, and
yeah,
uh, I, and you walk down the garage and all sorts of cars were there.
yeah,
You know, I mean, predominantly Hondas, but not all, right? There was even a Mustang there. I was like, oh, this thing's going to take everybody out. But no, it ran fine. It was great, you know?
yeah. It was friends of friends, so I kind of knew. Because one of the Honda Challenge guys in the Southeast, that was his friends with the Mustang and the IROC, and he's got a couple other Civic
Yeah,
friends that
yeah.
came. So I had actually instructed in the IROC before, and maybe even the Mustang at Roebling Road. So I knew the guys and was like, they're good solo guys for intermediate, and they wanted to run Rockingham. So I was like, yeah, bring it. As long as you don't get upset that it's a bunch of Honda guys and they'll be talking smack. I think Tony was the worst, telling those guys to get to the back and stuff. I felt bad for him, but they were just thankful.
Lord.
They were really thankful to come to the event, and they were surprised at the community. They were like, I can't believe how everybody was helping each other and, saying the same things that you're saying. And they felt like they were getting helped
Yeah.
out as well because they broke a couple things and there was guys helping them out. So it was more about community than it was about what car you were driving. So that was really refreshing to see. There was more about who you were as a person than it was about what you're driving. So
I mean, everybody was there to have
yeah,
fun, right? And if I can spend 1 or 2 minutes or 2 hours, because I drove and got Mike parts over an hour away, turned around and came back. Like, if I can help somebody, then why not, right? It's such a laid back atmosphere. I'm not one to say I'm going to go back to do HPDE events, but some of these more casual events, I definitely want to be involved with, because the not having the pressure is going to be magical for me. So,
yeah, and that's where
uh,
that's where the motivation was too. Is just to have something where when I go to Hyperfest, I don't get to see most of you guys because you're racing and I don't race at Hyperfest. I usually just instruct. I enjoy riding and instructing a Hyperfest more than I do driving, just because there's just too much going on, and I don't want to have to worry about, like what you're saying, getting a grid and find a parking spot. It's easier for me just to drive my car and not even trailer a car, for some of those larger events, because I'm just getting to the age where I don't want to deal with it. So having a laid back event like what Chad, that's what I wanted to have, was older people talking to the younger people and newer people talking about newer stuff that they know with the older people, and just, most of the ages there were 20 to 50 years old, so, and everybody has the same kind of passion, you could see. So it just worked out really well. I was really happy that what I thought was going to happen in that regard happened, and so that kind of made the event.
Yeah, it did. So let's get into next year, because I think you may have to I hope you have to put a cap on entries. Let's put it that way. It was such a great event. So let's talk about what you're looking at, because it's not set in stone, right? Nobody's paid deposits and all that stuff.
No, it's just talk, like the last one. So, but
yeah.
again, the last one took 9 months. People were like, "You're crazy for taking money 9 months before," but I knew. I mean, the insurance got signed less than 24 hours before the event started, so I knew it was going to come down to the wire. I didn't want it to be like that. So
That's gnarly. 9 months of planning and to sign insurance 24 hours before you get the keys to the venue. That's nuts.
Yeah, I was not happy. That's not how I do business. I had worked for Hershey for 20 years and dealing with $20 million worth of annual sales a year, and to be talking about 25 grand like it's a big deal, and then dragging out stuff with the insurance, being at the underwriters for longer than 30 days and stuff, was just ridiculous. So yeah, that's why I wanted to get out so far out in front of it. But we had the bills all paid. It was basically just waiting on insurance. But we had paid for the track almost 5 months before we were going to be there. So it was like we were the second biggest event for Rockingham outside of NASCAR this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was excited about that. That's pretty cool.
So every time I left the track, we'd come back and they wouldn't. So Saturday, there was an autocross happening outside of the track, right outside the track on the track grounds, right? And we would come in, I don't remember, entrance C maybe or D, I don't know, around the corner.
Yeah.
And there was a spot where if you went left, you went to the autocross. If you went right, you came to the tunnel for us. But you could drive up and peek in. Every single time I left the track, somebody was up there. Random new person. Mm-hmm. One guy on a motorcycle rode up there and was just watching. Another time it was an old man in a station wagon up there just watching. So it was interesting because they were like, "Oh, it lives again." There's people running on it right now. Let me go see what's going on. And I think it intrigues some people. So.
Yeah, there was a couple of people from the town drove by. There was a guy on a motorcycle, and I guess you'd call them townies, but they heard the noise, which is funny because I didn't think we were making that kind of noise. But on Sunday, they actually came in, and I didn't charge them money to come in because they were just coming in to see what was going on. But they were happy to see that the track was getting used, and it's up for sale now, so the future's a little bit in doubt with what's going to happen with private events, but it was good. That was my feeling all along with the way that track has been run the last couple of years, is that we could get in there for not an exorbitant amount of money for a NASCAR track, and then be able to use all the facilities like the garages, because not everybody gets to use the garages. It's a first come first serve thing, and you have to pay extra money on top of your entry most of the time. And then the facilities being real close together, having the bathrooms there, and then the paddock being small, kind of keeping everybody together was key.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that I've distracted us again, let's talk 2026. What are you penciling in, and what ideas are you kicking around?
A lot of people are saying stuff like, do CMP or, a conventional track, but I don't want to do anything that NASA or SCCA or Grid Life's doing. I want to try to find somewhere that's not being utilized a lot, that our group, majority of us haven't been to. So I'm really looking at smaller tire test facilities or training facilities, And then having to look at the safety, obviously, for us because of the speeds we're going. We're not doing autocross speeds and drifting speeds. So that Polecat facility in Tennessee, I'm looking at for sure. This summer, I'm going to go out there and take a look at it. And then there's a couple corners. I'm just worried if we go down the straight, somebody goes off, they're able to go to another part of the track. And I want to make sure that there's some kind of a catch fence or tire wall or something that's impeding us from going, onto oncoming traffic or something like that.
Right.
NC car, NC car's been mentioned a lot. It'd be easy to do an event at NC car. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that facility.
No, not at all.
It's a tire testing facility right off 95, right when you get into North Carolina. So it's right down from Richmond.
Okay.
It's like right off the exit right there. There's a Lowe's distribution center, and behind that is just a big 2 mile. It's basically a bunch of sweepers put together. You're basically turning the whole time. And then there's one big front straight. NASA's run there a couple times. It's a relatively cheap track to rent, but it doesn't have brake markers and it doesn't have apex markings on any of the corners or entries or exits of the corners. It's just pavement. So it's not my favorite.
I'll bring cones.
Yeah, it's not my favorite track. They do like Grip Fest there, and they do a lot of autocrossing there. And the one advantage is you can run it counterclockwise one day and then counterclockwise the next, so it kind of makes it different. But again, it's kind of a boring track. It would be out of necessity of just having everybody together and doing an event if we ended up going to there. But I want to go to a track that people are like, look at how cool that looks. And the pictures are another thing. I wanted to make sure at Rockingham we had the banking and stuff. So this next track I'm looking at, I want to have some group photos with trees and some backdrops that maybe make it look like a mountain pass versus a racetrack or something. So that's where we're thinking.
Well, that's awesome. I would vote for anything that's also in iRacing because we spent months. All the Mid-Atlantic guys were like getting on the sims every Tuesday night and battling it out and crashing each other. Mostly.
We should have had a thing on there on the Facebook page with everybody's handle, so everybody could have gone and rate. Because I know the ITR Expo guys were doing it, the Mid Atlantic guys were doing it, so there was like pockets of people doing it, and then if everybody had gotten together, it probably would have been more fun.
Yeah, I mean there were nights where there were only like 3 of us running, so if we could have got a bunch of people, or 12 people running Rockingham as a race would be pretty exciting. So
yeah, I had a blast.
At least on my
I had a blast doing the Honda Challenge races there. So racing there is fun because you're always turning. It's not like Daytona or even Charlotte where you've got time where you just kind of have your foot down and you're waiting for a corner to come.
Yeah. I forgot pants. I forgot my helmet, and yeah. Anyway, I wanted to take a ride along, but maybe at another time. Who knows? But hopefully, I'll be driving at the next track wherever that is. So,
definitely.
And you talked about having a circus tent so we could all cook, and we'll probably have to put a bear fence around it if we're going to go out to Tennessee or wherever you were talking about. But,
I have to look up all the camping stuff because what made it cool about Rockingham is I knew that they would let us do whatever we wanted in the garages. So people were camping in the garages or staying in their trailers. So just the event had that vibe because the track was so lenient. I mean, we were doing burnouts at 3 a.m. and tray drifting and stuff. So not a lot of facilities will let you do that. So that's also in the back of my mind about not having that hassle. I mean, they had cameras on us the whole time in the garages and outside the garages. So I was looking at my phone expecting at 3 a.m. to be getting messages, but I didn't get one message from anyone except for on Friday when we were on the autocross course. The management told us we could go up there, and then we had a couple of our guys go up there, and they said we were going way too fast for the autocross course, so they sent us back down. That was the only trouble we got in, was that we were too fast for the small course. So I felt good about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. he was like, man, these guys are going over 100 miles an hour back here. We gotta do something about this. I was like, oh, I'll call them back in.
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of built to go 0 to like a 120-ish pretty darn quick. So
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So let's see. What kind of challenges do you see for the 2026, just logistically?
Well, obviously it'll be further from my home, so I'll have to travel, but that's just part of it. Trying to find a facility I haven't been to is obviously always going to be a challenge. The more tracks I've been to, so the insurance policy part of it, but that was more of a Rockingham issue than it was an insurance issue. That's why I was saying it might be the last independent privateer event, because there is only one company right now that is giving insurance for independent, and it's rumored that they're going to be for sale here in August. So I'm sure there'll be somebody that you can get insurance from, or what you'll have to do is get like an umbrella policy where you go under another group that already has an existing policy, or go under the insurance policy that the track has. Most road courses, like if you were to go to CMP or VIR or Road Atlanta, would let you piggyback their insurance for like $1,000 or $2,000 for the weekend to get like a $3 million policy. Where at Rockingham, I actually had to go and get through a broker because I couldn't get the insurance company to call me back to actually have it was an individual insurance policy versus it was kind of part of the contract if you were to do it with like CMP or VIR or traditional road course. So that was a challenge for Rockingham, was that there was some extra hoops I had to jump through. And then because they were going up for sale, their insurance is actually running out at the end of this month. So they're not going to be able to run any more events after July. And with them being for sale, I'm not sure what that looks like in terms of their schedule. So we got lucky with that their insurance, they didn't have any insurance issues before our event, so that they could keep the facility open. So
oh yeah,
it was stressful.
That's real fortunate.
Yeah, it was stressful, but I mean, it wasn't, because it was for all my friends. So it was like, I want to make sure we have a good event and that it goes through. So they knew that. The management people knew that. They kept saying that I paid before NASCAR, like we had paid our bills, So they were like, we want to make sure Andrew and, all his friends have a good event. So it was just the insurance, trying to get the insurance with Rockingham. If it had been another event, another track, it wouldn't have been like that. It just, the circumstances with their insurance running out and then not having an umbrella insurance like a traditional racetrack made it more difficult. Because like NASA, when Chris or any of the franchise owners for NASA puts on an event, they're under an umbrella policy with NASA that gives them a $5 million policy as soon as they rent that facility. So they don't even have to worry about insurance with NASA. That's already part of their package deal. And most tracks now want $5 million policy. And what a $5 million policy looks like for an individual is $5,000 the first day, and then, or even $7,000 they're saying, and then $4,000 for Sunday. So you're looking at like $12,000 for an individual to rent VIR for a private event.
Oh wow!
Yeah. If you can't piggyback an insurance on their insurance, which is typically a couple $1,000s. Like when I did that with CMP, it was like $1,300 for a $3 million policy, and that's just putting my name on their policy for 3 days or whatever to cover us. So that was different. Okay. That was unforeseen with Rockingham, was that I was going to run into that, and that's why there was all these insurance fiasco stuff that was just really uncalled, like not needed. It's just tell me what the amount is and I'll write the check. But they kept saying it was at underwriting and stuff, and that was just kind of stressful. But
well, hopefully you find another obscure, not so well known track that we can all enjoy that causes you less issue with the insurance stuff.
Yeah. Well, I learned a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah. So is this your first event that you've put on ever?
No, we used to do. I don't know if you're familiar with the hosting site, the image hosting site, WeToddedRacing.com.
Oh yeah.
So from back in the day, that was Craig that was in the graffiti type R at the Player Haters.
Okay.
So his nickname
Yep.
on the board is Ass Penny, so I always just call him Ass Penny. So that's from Upright Citizens Brigade. I don't know if anybody knows that, but yeah, that's what Ass Penny comes from. So anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. I got on the Ass Penny tangent. Actually,
uh,
what was I supposed to be talking
yeah.
about?
The whole we
Oh
Todd
yeah, we
events that
Todd.
you guys
Okay, so
used to host back in the
he's
day.
like the we Todd master guy. So, um, we were all into the ITR Expo stuff early on. So we actually rented Ass Penny Craig actually put down money, kind of like what I did this time to get the ball rolling and actually rented CMP. And so that's how I was familiar
Mhm.
with like the insurance with CMP because they were like, listen, you're just going to piggyback our insurance. And back then it cost $12,000 to rent CMP for 2 days on a weekend, which was awesome. But you had to get people to sign up, and it was the same kind of thing this time. It was like, who are these two guys trying to put this event on together, and that kind of thing. So, but it had been since 2008 since we had put on an event. Since 2008, I've kind of just done my own thing with time trials and racing and doing lemons and stuff like that. So I just felt like it was time to I needed to do something because part of the hate as well was I would always be hating on the Type R Expo people. Why aren't we having an expo? So finally, I was like, well, we just need to have a hater group get together because we were hating not having an expo. So that was another
Right.
reason
Right.
why the Type R, the group kind of worked out with the player hater stuff. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so it was just like I said, it was I really enjoyed putting the event together. It was just the insurance stuff was was different because it was this NASCAR facility that's for sale that's not under because they're kind of an independent facility. They're trying to come back into NASCAR this year, and so it was like a perfect storm of insurance issues, but it was also a perfect storm of being able to run the track in the best. That was the best the facility's been in probably 40 years because they just had the ARCA race there and the truck race and the Busch Xfinity stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, the facility looked pretty good. I mean, I know they put a coat of paint on everything, but seemed to be in pretty decent shape. So
well,
hopefully,
yeah, when we ran there with NASA, when we raced Honda Challenge there was literally boulders coming off the banking because they had taken out the soft walls and they were basically just kind of scraping everything up.
crumbling
Yeah.
at the edge.
Yeah, it was just really poor, but I had a great time. I'm driving a Honda, not a Corvette or a Porsche. So, I mean, dodging concrete was just part of the fun of it. Um,
Right.
but when they invested all that money after COVID, the track doubled in cost. So when NASA rented it, it was $10,000. When we rented it, it's $20,000. So the costs went up, double.
I mean, somebody's got to pay for all the asphalt that's got to get prepared and all the paint buckets
Yeah.
and all that stuff, right? Like the clogged toilets.
Yeah, and I mean,
all this.
yeah. Well, we did do that. We clogged 2 toilets. I did get that call on the radio, and they took care of that within 20 minutes. So that was our biggest issue. That was the only thing I had to call them about, that and making sure that we could run the oval without shutting the gate. That was all kind of new to me about how long it takes them to shut that wall in turn 3 to let the big rigs in. It actually, because of all the gusseting for the catch fence and stuff, on all the bolts that they have to put in it, it takes them about an hour and a half to open and close that.
Yeah, I think Mike and Hunter had to drive up that way with the RVs and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was probably the most stressful part, was because they're charging people for damaging the asphalt as you drive in and drive out, because the tongues of the trailers are hitting the like coping or the bottom of the track and gouging it. So they were like, if anybody moves the cones or gouges the track, it's $3,000. And I'm like, well, I don't want to pay more money. We're already at the limit. So um, some of the people were kind of confused driving in because you have to go against the traffic. And so most people were trying to turn right instead of going the opposite way around the Roval. So that was interesting, yelling at people because I didn't want them coming onto the autocross course Friday when we got people driving and then coming on. So I was out there kind of like waving and yelling at people, but it made it kind of exciting at the same time, I guess.
There's a lot of acreage, man. When I came Saturday morning, I was like, where am I going?
Yeah.
I got myself an autocross wristband and everything.
Oh, dang.
I was ready to go.
Yeah, when the insurance thing went down and I wasn't sure about my attitude with what was going on at the track, my parents were going to come and run security kind of to make sure people were getting wristbands and knew where to go. But I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to have to show my ass to the management there or what's going on. So I was like, I had my parents stay home. And it was probably good because, they brought a keg and everybody was up at 3 a.m. doing burnouts and stuff. So it's probably good my parents weren't there because my dad's 80, so he would have been like, what are y'all doing? So.
Yeah, I mean, Tony was the wristband police. He was hollering about me not having a wristband, and I was like, I just got here. Yeah. Like, I parked my car and I was walking towards registration. Don't be the Gestapo, Tony. But
yeah, he's just trying to look out for me. I think he knew like how serious I was about. But it worked out great. The weather raining washed off the chalk on the track because I had to put chalk for the autocross course, and it was going opposite the direction of when we did the Roval. So the rain coming and washing off the chalk was great because then nobody was confused Saturday morning with why it was saying no and arrows and stuff like that. And everything just worked out great for the event. I mean, the little things happening, like not enough food trucks. They're really, we didn't really need that many more food trucks. It was just, I wanted to have more to kind of have it be like a gathering place for everybody to hang out. And, not being able to run the little course out back as long as we wanted to on Friday, that was no big deal. So it ended up being a great event. I was super happy that I didn't have any complaints. It was unfortunate we had 3 people not make the event that paid, and unfortunately we didn't make any money. We actually were in the red by just a little bit. So I just let them know that they'd be able to enter the next event for free, that we all would try to cover that cost for them since they made the event happen for us this time. And
I mean, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. So I'm excited about trying to create another event. I know everybody was really excited about just the community and got to spend more time talking to people and learning stuff and spending time with friends that they hadn't seen in a long time. There was a lot of people there that I hadn't seen in 15 years, and lots changed in 15 years in life. So it was really good outside the car stuff too to see everybody, but that's what kind of brought all of us together. So it was good to kind of hang out at the track too.
Yeah, for sure. I can tell you the Mid-Atlantic guys, our group chat on Monday, I've never heard them complain so much about a track hangover. So not for those that, non-track people don't understand. You spend a lot of time on adrenaline. So Monday at work sucks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean,
they were pretty upset about that.
Yeah. When I get home from an event on a Sunday night, I'm still so jacked up from, the noise and being at the track and stuff. So, I mean, and then I had Road Atlanta 4 days later. I left for Road Atlanta, and it's great because there was there was about 5 or 6 player haters there. So, they were wearing stuff from the event and talking about the event. And so it was really good. Hopefully we can keep it going. So when I see you guys, at Oktoberfest and stuff like that, I'll probably see a couple of you guys at Roebling and for the HFGT race at Roebling in August. But, hopefully I have more info, at those events for you guys about what's going on next year. The Aztec guys have already contacted me and trying to push me about, when's the next event and do you need some help with getting money for a down payment? But I haven't even gotten that far to find out financially what the tracks want and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think the community really enjoyed it, obviously, because everybody's been talking about it. Everybody's been clamoring about it. Looking forward to next year. The Facebook group still has posts. I don't know, at least weekly they're posting something.
Yeah. So. Well, that's been fun to see. Yeah, everybody posting different stuff. And, Tony still hasn't even gotten to the photos yet because he was doing Hyperfest and then he was at Road Atlanta. So he still has all those photos to post as well. So those guys will be
Yeah, for
excited.
sure. Yeah, they'll get all hyped again when the photos come out, and we'll get to relive it all through Instagram and Facebook posts.
Yeah, that's right. Who knows? Maybe we'll just make it an oval thing and we'll go to Nashville or something like that. Just
Oh, don't tempt us.
Chicagoland will go
The Mid-Atlantic.
go break the.
Oh,
They were showing how the grass coming up at Chicagoland and some of these other tracks, and I don't know, it's the Cletus McFarland thing's funny because that was always kind of my dream. So, and that's just like on everybody's talking about how he bought the Freedom Factory and stuff, and that was kind of my dream. Was like I wanted to get to 50 years old and have enough property to be able to build a track and then pave it and have people come out. But obviously, you need to have multi-million dollars to be able to do something like that. And then I couldn't imagine the private insurance you'd have to have at your house to have people doing stupid stuff. So it was better just to put on an event at Rockingham and then then try to do something like that. Especially since I've heard what Cletus went through trying to buy a facility, and then he's already got a neighborhood building homes behind the track, kind of like what all these racetracks deal with. So it's got to be a nightmare, going through that kind of stuff. But.
Yeah, that's the biggest threat to our tracks right now is the housing booms.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Andrew. Anything else we need to cover today?
No, man. I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to hearing it. And thanks for supporting it, and thanks for the koozies. The koozies were awesome. So you gave me 5 koozies. I took one for myself, and then gave them to the flaggers, the other 4 to the flaggers, and they were pumped about it. So thank you for that.
Good.
I was able to give them some swag and keep them happy. So.
Yeah. That's one thing. The old heads that were there, every last one of the old school Honda heads cars says "Thank you, workers" on the back. Yeah. And there's multiple ways we can go about it, but when you warm up, make sure you know where your driver's stands are. Obviously, you've got to pay attention to them while you're on track or during the race. But the reinforcement to me is always waving on the cool down because it makes sure they know that you know where they are, right? And but outside of that, like you still got to take care of your workers because without them, you don't get to play. So
yeah, again, they made the event feel really professional for me, and I couldn't thank them enough. I see Dan and Bob a lot, but then Parker actually used to run Honda Challenge back in the early 2000s, him and his brother. So to have him come out and work and then see the new Honda Challenge guys and stuff, it just kind of brought it full circle. And that's, when you have your workers as part of the community too, it just made it, that much better. So I'm glad everybody had a great time.
Yeah,
I had a blast, put it on, and I got probably over the course of those 3 days, I probably got maybe 5 hours of sleep. But I was rolling on adrenaline. I lost my voice, and I was still pumped up the next week at Road Atlanta, seeing all the guys that had been at Player Haters, and then hearing all the people at Road Atlanta that had seen the success of it, and then getting the phone calls and texts from people that didn't come that are telling me they want to come to the next event. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. I'm happy they want to come to the event, but then it's like part of the success of why our event was so good is because it was private and small. And so I want to keep that same feel. So I'm, like you said at the beginning, I think you were asking about how big could it get? And it's kind of like one of those things is how small can we keep it? And, keep that same vibe, grid life, you can see the evolution of grid life because it's been here over the last 10 years. When it started off, grid life was real small and close niche. And now it's like a huge organization with a racing and all that stuff and a huge event stage and stuff. And so I don't want this to turn into anything like where we're headed in that direction, or I'd love to have a band, but nothing like like that stage and stuff. But it'd be cool to have like a band or something.
All right,
cool.
Hey, all things to grow into, my man.
There you go. And if you guys have any ideas, let me know. Shoot them my way. So
Absolutely. Thanks again, Andrew.
All right, man. Keep in touch.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.